Hey everyone, I'm Levi Wright, Assistant Director of Prospective Student Services here at OSUIT, and we are thrilled to be back today with you all with another live virtual tour. And today we're with the High Voltage Lineman program to hear about what a student's time will look like during this program at OSUIT. So, as usual, if you have any questions during this video, please put those in the comments and we will get those answered. We want to make sure we get that information to you today. So leave those in the comments. Even if you're watching this later and it's no longer live, you can still leave comments and we will still get those answered. If you have any friends or family that you think would benefit from seeing this, please share it with them so that they're able to join as well. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mike Stacy and let him take over from here.
As Levi said, I'm Mike Stacy. I'm an instructor here at OIT High Voltage Program, also the safety coordinator. If you like being on the go and being outside every day, this might be the school for you. If you like doing something that is you feel worthwhile, like you've accomplished something at the end of the day, this might be a school for you. Here at OSUIT, we work on safety is the main goal here. In all of your labs, every one of the classes that have labs, the first thing you will do before you start the lab is you will do a tailboard discussion, just like you would as you were on the job. So safety is job one. Even though we have a safety class, every one of our classes have safety in them. And there's never been a better time to get into the high voltage field. There's more jobs than there ever has been due to the fact that there's so many people retiring out of the field at this time. The wages are higher than they've ever been and the benefits are greater than they've ever been. I'm going to go down a list of the classes per semester. Just the high voltage classes, not the gen eds. So the first semester you would be taking intro to high voltage, pole climbing, and heavy construction equipment. Second semester you would be in high voltage safety, overhead distribution systems, AC/DC, and your first internship. Third semester you'd be principles of operation and high voltage systems, and your second internship. Fourth semester you would be doing underground transmission and your third internship. And the fifth semester, advanced distribution, and fourth internship. Sixth semester would be high voltage capstone and your fifth internship. I'm also over the internship program, and while here at OSUIT, you have 5 paid internships that you will be going on. That is something that our advisory board has liked real well. It gives our students a first-hand knowledge and experience of what it's like on the job. And another thing is why we have 5 is the students will only be on campus for the first semester and a half, and then after that our students will go on their first internship. They'll come back to do a half a semester on campus and then their second internship. So after the first semester and a half, they're never on campus for more than a half a semester at a time. So as we walk down here, I will introduce you to Mr. Bales, and he's going to kind of go over the classes that he instructs and what to expect in them classes. Mr. Bales.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, I'm Joe Bales. I'll be your climbing instructor while you're here at OSUIT in the high voltage program, the high voltage lineman program. It'll be your first semester, be the biggest, probably the hardest part of be getting through the climbing class. Just from the physical side of it, it's going to be tough. Climbing mini poles that we have out here. We've got 70-foot poles and H structures, 40-foot poles. All of these you'll be expected to climb during the climbing class. And then you also be expected to, at the end of the class, be able to hang a cross arm up there in a safe and timely fashion. And then also while you're here in climbing class, you're going to learn to use all our climbing equipment. We've got our climbing belt, primary and secondary fall restraints, You'll learn the safety standards and practices, how to use those safely while climbing. And then we also have a set of hooks here to look at. These are very sharp, so you guys will be trained on how to use these safely and how to protect yourself while learning to climb the poles. One thing to keep in mind is while you're getting ready for class, make sure you get a good climbing boot. You got a good size heel on it. It's a good logger size boot, and it's a minimum of 10-inch boot. Then make sure you have a good shank on the inside to protect your foot. So something I definitely like to encourage everybody, make sure you do not try to save money on buying boots. Buy you a good pair of boots. It'll protect your feet and your legs, and it'll keep you climbing longer. Also, you know, this is a very physically demanding program, and the climbing is definitely a part of that. So make sure you're exercising a lot, doing a lot of pull-ups, a lot of step-ups, getting your legs ready, getting ready to go up and down. We do a lot of climbing here, and we want you guys to be as safe and ready to go out there when you're internships and perform to the best of your capabilities. Okay, now we're going to hand off the tour here to Mr. Wendell Williams. He will be he'll help with the climbing, and he'll teach a lot of the driving while you're here on your first semester here at the program.
I'm Wendell Williams, instructor here at OSUIT, high voltage. And we'll look at this here to start with, because the first semester these guys coming in here, or anyone that wants to try for this program, they got to go ahead and be able I discuss everything about these trucks about them. First of all, find out who has experience and who doesn't have experience, and then the ones that with experience helps me out through the class, because they can kind of help these coach these other ones along. But you learn everything about this. We got forms that start with. First one is A. A is the front of the truck. It's everything within the engine compartment. Everything about what they need to be checking on, what they got to expect each day, because they got to do their pre-trip inspection each day. They have to log those. And that way, when they do that, because it covers everything, any faults about the truck, and if it needs something that's wrong with it, they make notations of it. If the truck can't be used that day, they'll have to go ahead and get with the mechanic or the service department to get it repaired, and they have to get in the truck. So that covers the part A, is engine compartment. And then we go as B. B starts everything from the mirror on back of the truck. Everything about the doors, they completely expect everything, even down underneath the truck. This covers B, everything about it. And as we walk along and come through here, this area that we, like I said, goes to the very back of the truck, but it goes to their tires. I mean, it's a lot of information they got to conceive during this time whenever they first come here. They got 16 weeks to learn this in. And I try to go ahead and teach them the best I can about all this here. And if any of them have any trouble with this, I back up there and give them one-on-one to make sure they got this, because they are tested each week, and then they have quizzes, because this is part of, they got to have this down, because they got to pass a state examination skill test. And if they do not do that, and then of course that's their finals, they will fail. But they got to have that before they go on further in this program. But then this covers B down to this side here. And then we also have C starts here at the receiver hitch at the back of the truck. They go through this whole part here, and they got to know everything coming back to their extendable tongue that we have, all the way to the back of the truck. And these are parts of the forms they had to perform on their skill test. They some will get classified as D. That covers everything, A, B, and C. But then some of them will get just one or the other. But it all depends. But I cover everything with them, because I want them to know everything about these trucks before they take it, because they don't know what they're going to draw during test day. And they do all their in-cab. Their in-cab and their brake checks is one of the number one things. They cannot fail their brake checks. And then what ties the truck and trailer together, what you want to have. But there's a lot to it, and they have to really understand this here, and it's been successful. very successful. Not just exactly what I do or any other instructors that would help, but getting them to understand about this, how the importance about this whole program. This is one of the first steps they come to in this program. Myself or Mr. Bales, because he's teaching the climbing aspect about this whole part, and then I'm teaching about driving these trucks. And after they do that, it's, like I said, it's very important because they can't go any further in this program if they would be unsuccessful with this. So that covers through here, and we have the practice area is on the west side of the campus over here in the parking lot. We do maneuvers, or backing maneuvers. They have to do six different successful backing maneuvers, and they won't draw but 3 of them during on test day, but they do a very good job at learning all that. And they also are assessed. We drive the trucks during this whole time as well. They drive the route, understanding the route that they have to go on. I mean, it's quite a bit to it. But if they really want to be able to get this right here, they can be able to do it. Like I said, the success rate of that's been very good. So that covers heavy duty on the driving. And now we can go over here and I talk to you more about safety. Also, we teach safety in every one of our classes, but I teach safety coming up this summer semester. So we can discuss a few things over here. We kind of walk this way, and then some of the things in safety that we cover is multiple things of safety. First aid force is, about all that. Teaching about first aid, different things, heat stroke, insect bites, snake bites. I cover all those areas of that, that they can understand it, because some of them have exposure to it that they've had during their high school years and other stuff as well as that. But it's covered on all that because that is another one of their first features they're going to have before they go out on their first intern. When they get through their safety, I strive safety as much as I can. On grounding, primary lines, anything I can be able to go and put in their program for them to understand that. But one of the things they have to go ahead and do as part of safety is this pole right here behind here, and that one over there is designated for hurt man, pole top rescue. And as they do their pole top rescue, on here they practice how quick they can do their time under 3 minutes. Because the thing of it is, when you're doing this, and they have to get up there and they rescue the dummy in the quickest time they can, which this goes to apply to their grade that they have toward the end of the semester that they are in here, because that's very important. Because the way I always looked at it my whole time my career doing that was me up there, and I would want some of my co-workers to get me down as quick as possible. And that's very important, because in this line of work, all safety aspects is a critical time of doing this here, but also time matters when a person gets hurt. I mean, I've seen it happen before, and then it's really critical. So therefore, like I said, I'm really passionate about that, getting them to understand that as well. But anyway, they do very well on that. And then as far as anything else on safety, I think I've pretty well covered that. And now, I guess I'll go ahead and give you over to Bart, Mr. Pettit, next instructor, and he could teach you some more things in his program while we go ahead and cover.
Good morning. My name is Barton Pettit. I've been with OSUIT for about 3 years. Came here from OG&E. 39 years in the industry as a lineman. Worked everywhere from all over Oklahoma to California, back to Texas, and then all over the nation on storms. This program currently is called High Voltage Lineman Program. I know there are questions about that. With advancements in technology and with improvements in equipment and material and tools, it's less demanding than it used to be. Traditionally, it was a man's field. While I was in California, I actually worked with a woman for a couple of years, and she could do anything any man that I worked with could. It's like anything else. A lot of men are not cut out for this. A lot of women aren't cut out for it. But if you want to try it, give it a shot. If you'll follow me, we'll go in the classroom. My courses that I teach are overhead distribution, transmission, and advanced principles. We'll start off with overhead distribution. When I first get these guys, they just came out of pole climbing and heavy equipment. They have not had any exposure to electrical theory. or transformers or any of the equipment. They've not been on a crew. They don't really have a concept of what's going to be required of them to do this job. And it's my job to get them ready for their first internship. In doing that, the first thing that I have to do is give them a brief education on basic electricity. If you'll come on in real briefly, I'll show you some of the equipment that we use. First thing I have to do, I'm supposed to teach them about transformers. Before I can talk to them about transformers, they have to understand electricity. So we start with the electron theory, with Ohm's law. I teach them how electricity is generated, how we manage it, and about polarity, which is very important in this line of work. If you get two transformers with opposite polarity, try to hook them together, it's not going to work. Once they understand and have a concept of how electricity works, we move into transformer theory. With these simulators, we got little drawings here of transformers. It's just 3 separate transformers. They can connect a transformer, check the voltage, see how it works. Once they understand how to hook up a single-phase transformer, we talk about how to parallel transformers together to increase capacity. We talk about how to build transformer banks. We talk about how they're built, what their purpose is, what the voltages are to look for, how to recognize them, and what material and tools are going to be required to do that. Once we have done that, we can go ahead and move outside if you'd like. We move into other things. In the process of the classroom, they're also doing lab work. We'll move outside and I'll show you some of the lines that we work on, but some of the tools that they work with. If they're going to go into an internship, we don't want them just standing around. We want them to have an idea of what's going on when they show up on the job. When a lineman asks for a tool or a piece of a material, we want them to have some concept of what it is so they're not hunting for it and wasting time. They can go get it. This is our tool room. We have cover up. Part of our job is, well, the big part of our job is safety in everything. We teach them the concepts of what's going on. Once they understand electricity, then they have a concept. If a wire's down and it's still energized on the ground, they need to understand that just because you didn't touch the wire doesn't mean that you're safe. You have step potential as part of the safety program. There are a lot of things that they need to consider before they actually go out on the job, and they need to listen to their linemen. We teach them the concepts of working energized line eventually, not in this class, but by the time they get to advanced, they need to understand the principles of insulate and isolate, of one point of contact. They need to understand the functions and the parts of the line truck and the bucket truck, what parts are insulated, what parts aren't, what can what can actually make accidental contact and still be reasonably safe, how to protect themselves. That's the main gist of what we're doing here. You can see our shelves are not organized real well. That is going to be their project when they get back. That's how they're going to learn the material. We have all of our rope goods. You would think that a rope is a rope. It doesn't matter what you do with it. But guys, when you go in the dark to get a hand line for a lineman to use on the job, you don't want it tied up in knots. They have to be made up a particular way. It's my job to teach them rigging. What that means is we deal with a lot of heavy equipment that's not it's not balanced, it's awkward. And we have to know how to pick it up and make sure that it's level, that it's safe. We have to know the limits of our slings, of our lifting equipment, of our winch lines, of the boom. We have to understand the extension of the boom, the angle of the boom, and how the lifting capacity decreases with that. We have to understand all of that, and that's part of my job as we go through overhead distribution. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this while we're in here. Like I said, I teach transmission. Part of transmission is you can't rubber glove transmission. Everything has to be worked off the pole or out of a bucket. Out of a bucket, you can work it hot. It's called bare hand work. You actually are at the same potential as the conductor. I have videos and we discuss it. I can't teach it or simulate that here, but we can simulate hot stick work, which is what we do out here in the field. We have the long sticks here that are used for a a bell change out project. They will take this long stick, put it on the wire. It's got a lift that goes on the bottom of it. They'll lift it, disconnect it with hot sticks. We'll lay it out so that they can walk out on a baker board, change the bells out, take the board back down, put the sticks back up. Okay? If you'll follow me, we'll step outside and we'll take a look at what we would be doing, the project area for overhead distribution, and then we'll move to transmission. Overhead distribution has changed a lot. For years and years we used wood cross arms. Now we're going to fiberglass. We use wood poles. We're going to fiberglass and steel and concrete. So climbing is changing. The approach to doing the work is changing all the time. The only problem is a lot of times you can't get equipment to the work. And that's why we need to learn the rigging, so that we can get the material and equipment to the work and get the poles in the ground, get them framed, and get the wire back up, get everybody's lights back on. This line of work, it's still very physically demanding. You put a lot of hours in, you spend a lot of time, and it's very hard work a lot of times. We do overhead, we have underground class. The underground instructor is not here right now, but we do have a tractor with a backhoe and a front end loader. This is the area where we simulate our underground. We have switching cabinets. We have 3-phase pad mount transformers. We've got single-phase transformers. We've got risers where they learn how to make terminations, and wire runs from each one, so they learn how to. We actually have the equipment where they can test the cable, determine if it's any good or not, and decide whether they want to make it up. We discuss troubleshooting. We discuss proper procedures for working underground. You can imagine, since it's underground, you can't see it, so you don't know for sure what direction it's going or where it stops. You have to locate it, and you have to provide grounds to protect yourself while you work on it. It's much more hazardous than overhead, where you can see everything. But if you take a look at all the poles we have in the air here, the tall poles over here, the 8 structures, and the first pole line this side of it are transmission structures. We'll talk about them in a minute, but we've got different configurations of distribution. We instruct our students on guying. What that means is it's the support of the pole that holds the conductor up. We talk about grounding. I know that Wendell talked about that in his, but we talk about different types of grounding schemes and the purpose of grounding, the proper location for grounds, how they protect us, if something is inside of our ground scheme that might provide an alternate source of feed, how we protect ourselves from that. We discuss a lot of things. Our entire goal here is so that the students will recognize what they need to be doing, what they are doing, what the hazards are, and how to protect themselves. As we move out here, I have them do things old school. Simple way to hang a transformer would be to have a truck do it, but a lot of times we can't do that. So I teach them how to do it with a hand line or a set of blocks and a capstan hoist. On transmission, what we do is on the big 8 structure, we will climb the pole and we'll hang a ladder on the arm. I didn't show you the ladders inside. We have 8 and 12 foot hook ladders. They have a hook on the top of them. They hang on the arm. Guys climb off the pole onto that ladder and we slide it out, and they change the bells out. We teach them proper rigging, proper procedures. You have to do things in order, because if you don't, you'll find yourself in a position where you forgot to do something and it is not going to be able to progress any further. You've got to back up and redo everything. Okay? For the most part, that pretty much covers it. When we do the transmission, actually the poles are all ready for change out. When we do that, I have my guys drop all the wires, strip everything off of it. They take the arms down, and then either PSO or OG&E will bring poles out, change the poles out, and my guys will rebuild it. That pretty much does it for me.
Awesome. We do have a few questions.
Sure.
One is, so the 5 paid internships, all 5 of those are paid, correct?
Yes.
So on those, what's the average hourly wage on those internships, and roughly how many hours a week?
It depends on the company. We intern with contractors, we intern with co-ops, we intern with cable companies, we intern with AEP and OG&E. I came from OG&E, so I can tell you with them the average week is 40 hours. That's basic. If they're making a good hand and there's overtime, then the crew will call them. They can get up to 25% overtime. I'm not sure what the starting wage is, probably about 15 for most companies, $15 an hour. It can go higher than that. But they make pretty good money on the internships, especially if they're showing up not on time, show up early, because the internship is your job interview. And in a job interview, you want your best foot forward. So you show up early, you start stocking the trucks, you fill the water cans, you make sure that your crew is ready to go at starting time. If you're doing that, those crews are going to call you when they have overtime. If you're not doing that, they're going to figure you're not interested and they're not going to bother with you.
On the internships, we had one question come in and they said, is it my responsibility to find the 5 internships, or do I get help? And do all 5 of those internships happen with the same company?
They may not happen with the same company. A lot of that depends on how well you did with that company. Like I said, that is your interview. If you do well, they'll probably ask you back. But as far as finding them yourselves, Mike Stacy takes care of internships. He has contact with all of the companies that we send interns to. He knows which students are coming up for internship. He has them submit their top 3 preferences, and he will try to get them their first preference. If he can't, then he moves down the list. But no, the school will find you your internship. But same thing, you have to get your paperwork in on time. If you wait till the last minute to tell him that you want to go on internship and where, you just get what you get.
Excellent. We talked about the CDL a little bit and that being a requirement for the program. Are there any other certifications that a student will receive in addition to their college degree?
You will not be certified as a lineman. There's no way we can do that. We're not making journeyman linemen. What we're doing here is we are preparing young people to enter this trade. Most of our people, when they leave here, they go to work for a company as probably a second step apprentice. Usually apprenticeships are 4 years. Second step means that you skipped a year. But other than that, no, I don't think there are any other certifications that you'll acquire other than your diploma. But that diploma carries a lot of weight.
But it does. The last one I've got right here is, as we look at the COVID-19 time and all that's been going on, is this an essential field, and are linemen still working?
This is an essential field. Linemen are still working. I've been in contact with the people that I worked with in Ardmore. It has changed. We used to show up 30 minutes to an hour early every morning. We'd sit around, drink coffee, talk, and enjoy each other's company. That's not happening anymore because of social distancing. They are checking temperatures at the gate. They're not allowed to go inside. Their jobs are in the seat of the truck. When they get there, they get in their truck and go right to work. And they do not all show up at the same time. They show up in staggered groups. So it's changed, but this is an essential job. And as a matter of fact, it should be considered a first responder job, because you're going to be in a lot of situations where you've got to clean up before the police and anybody else can start.
Excellent. I know I said that was the last question, but we do have one more. What are some of the companies that students can go to work for, and companies that hire out of the program?
AEP hires out of this program. OG&E hires out of this program very heavily. When I worked in Ardmore, many of our young linemen were out of this program. I think 50% of OG&E's linemen are at this point. They want the top 10 graduates out of this course. GRDA, I'm not GRDA, GRDA, several of the co-ops, transmission co-ops, contractors in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, Kansas, and even New Mexico hire out of this school. Our people have a 100% placement rate. If they want to go to work, they will go to work. And the benefits and wages are, I don't think you can do any better. I enjoyed it for 39 years. If I could still do it, I'd be doing it.
Excellent. Do you have anything else you would say to a prospective student looking at coming to this program at OSUIT?
I would say I'd kind of echo what Mike said. If you like working with your hands, if you like being outside, if you like a challenge, if you like to be able to drive up and down a road throughout the nation and see lights on and know I did that, then this is the line of work for you. It is grueling, it's demanding. You will work in some of the worst conditions you can imagine. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it's a lot different than it used to be. When I started, we worked around the clock nonstop until everything was on. It's not that way anymore. You get rest periods, you get meals, you get rooms, you get taken care of. So it's not that bad. But you will find yourself in situations where you just have to tell yourself, let's get it done, and it'll be over with, and we can go on with lives. But in the meantime, you're getting paid very well.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and all the other rest of the instructors that spoke. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're so glad you came along today. Like they said, if you have any questions, please feel free to go back in and put those in the comments, and we will get those answered. Make sure if you're interested in this line of work that you reach out to OSUIT. Consider the high voltage program so that you can climb to the top of your class. Remember to stay safe, stay true to you, and go Pokes.